Nico Harrison to make his first in front of cameras public appearance. He had a press conference today. He's the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, the one who decided to trade Luka Doncic for a guy who got hurt in the playing game on Friday.
Pennies on the dollar.
And Tim McMahon of ESPN, there was rumblings that this was going to happen, that he had basically the murder weapon for Nico Harrison's firing that he was going to unveil after the Mavericks got eliminated from the playoffs. And he posted a story today that's a doozy. It's not quite what I was expecting when I saw on Friday morning that McMahon was going to release something that was going to bury Nico Harrison. But it paints a picture of the dysfunction and disruption that Nico Harrison has brought to Dallas.
Of a guy who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. That's fundamentally what it comes down to. So Tim Cato, who works for used to work for the Athletic, works for DLLS. It's one of the many branches of the All NBA group started in Denver and DNVR. He was at the press conference today, and his article that he just published. This is I'll tie all this together. Team sources consistently express belief that Dumont no longer sees Harrison as a figure with irreproachable basketball expertise. Most notably, team and league sources say Dumont has had frustration with Harrison not warning him, or perhaps even more damningly, being unaware of the fandom's outrage following the trade. Those same sources say it had some influence over Dumont's decision to make Harrison appear for last week's closed media event. And if you're wondering what that is, Nico Harrison had a quote today that I don't even know how to explain it. I can't begin. Just listen to this.
I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at it is, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage. And so unfortunately we weren't able to do that, so it just continued to, go on and on.
There's so many things there. First of all, that's not a championship quality team. It's not even close to a championship quality team. No. You cannot say that.
Well, I think the bigger one is you didn't know what he meant to the fan base.
And that's the more egregious thing. And this is at that point, there's two paths you can take there. Either he unknowingly, irresponsibly did not know the value and the meaning of Luka Doncic to the franchise, or he did it deliberately.
Yeah.
And either way, he's unfit to be the general manager of that franchise.
Yeah.
Or of any franchise.
You said something in him being a guy that doesn't know what he's doing. And I go, I don't know, because I think he's doing what he does know. Because where did he work out before?
Nike.
What, in the time that he worked at Nike, it was a lot of the things, including they just recently turned over their CEO.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of the conversations of Nike had lost its way.
Mm-hmm.
There are several lawsuits that are pending that have gone to like dysfunction of management at Nike and all that stuff. And look, I love Nike. I'm swoosh bag through and through, right?
I'm literally head to toe Nike right now.
But there was a lot of the things of the power struggles that we've heard from, a lot of the stuff that's been published about Nike, and hey, we are going to take away anybody we're going to silence whoever has more power than us or can sway the people with power, and we're going to silence them. That's what Tim McMahon kind of outlines, is that what Nico Harrison has done very quietly to the public, but very loudly within the building in Dallas, is that he has gotten rid of any person that could be a threat to his power or that could be a voice of reason to question his power to the owners. That includes Mark Cuban, Dirk Nowitzki, the medical team that is now in New York with the Knicks, and it has created like a little bit of like this, everybody's looking over their shoulder and a little bit of hostility there. And I think that when you kind of read that and you're like, knowing where he's what his background is of being a cutthroat dude, that's what he's doing, and it's ineffective as a leader of an NBA franchise, and it's ineffective at leading anybody in that regard, and kind of the way that McMahon frames what's going on. But it also has to do with something that I've been saying the whole time, which is that ownership doesn't know anything about the Mavericks. They don't care about the Mavericks. They look at it as they just bought a business, and Nico Harrison was the guy that was, he knows. He knows what he's doing. So we're just going to let him do what he's doing. Now they're seeing firsthand that guy is not fit for this role, and they have, and I don't know if you could have a bigger buyer's remorse than what the Dumont family probably has right now, because of everything that we've outlined that they're trying to do with legalizing gambling in the state of Texas, building a casino and a new stadium in Dallas, where you need to get the fan base rallied. They have absolutely lost all of that with these moves and the trust with Nico Harrison. And now you're starting to see, whether it's Tim Cato or Tim McMahon with the hit pieces against him, I don't see how he survives as the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks beyond this week.
I don't.
This week,
honestly, he shouldn't get through the day. But I also said that when he had the closed door press conference, whatever the hell that was, where what came out of that was when they asked him about the future, I said, I see myself, fulfilling my 3 years, and then I'm out of here. So you've got a guy who's just looking at 3 years, and there's no long-term vision. He's going to leave the organization with the bag. Like, think about the Mavs organization in 3 years. You no longer have Luka Doncic, who would be in his prime. Anthony Davis will be 34. Kyrie Irving will be, 36? What? You don't have any draft picks because they're gone.
Yeah.
You didn't get anything back from the Lakers in that deal. You have nothing. You have nothing. And you were just, the organization is just screwed. Like, from like the most cynical viewpoint, if you believe the Adelsons and Patrick Dumont, they have nothing to do with this. And everybody's like, he's taking cues from ownership. I don't believe that. No. I don't believe that for 1 second.
And what we're finding out now is that he has all the power.
He saw a power vacuum when Cuban sold the team, and he snatched it all up for himself. And this is something that happens across sports. When, like, that's something that people thought about when in Denver, when Calvin Booth got fired and Mike Malone. Is there an assistant GM somewhere that doesn't like either of them?
Mm-hmm.
And he wants them both gone because he wants the job and he doesn't want to deal with Mike Malone? Like, that was one of the first things that I got told from somebody in Denver, was that it feels like there's somebody who's playing everyone's side, because it's cutthroat in the executive world, not just in the NBA, across sports. And those people that want to be GMs, they don't care.
Yeah,
they don't care. They will step on you every which way.
Yeah,
and if there's an opportunity to grab that power because you know better, because you, like, in sports, you succeed because you're the best. There's this inherent self-belief that I can do this better. And so Nico Harrison saw this opportunity to alienate your franchise's best player in Dirk Nowitzki, to cut out the owner who had sold the team but still holds basically a quarter of the stake in the team. I think it's like 24%. Mark Cuban still owns a large portion of the team. He's just no longer the majority shareholder. Because part of the deal when Cuban sold the team is that he would lead basketball operations. Well, they cut his legs out from underneath him because the fine-tooth comb on the language of the contract when he sold the team wasn't good enough. And so neither of those guys were talked to or consulted when Luka was being traded, because both of them would have immediately gone to Tim McMahon.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. They would not have allowed that to happen. There's not a chance in hell that they would have allowed that to happen. And you look at everything, there is, short of Luka Doncic's legs being blown off by a landmine, there is nothing that can happen that can redeem this for them. Like, if let's just say you fire Nico Harrison and you hire a new general manager to try to salvage anything out of this, Kyrie Irving's in a he's got a player option. He can opt out and just leave. Anthony Davis is great, but oft injured.
Hold on. The thing about Kyrie, he's going to opt into that knowing he's not going to play next year, and he's going to collect a paycheck because he tore his ACL.
Though they're putting out there that he could return in January, and they're not worried about he may opt out and just sign an extension. Like that's what they've kind of flagged is going to happen, and I'm just like, so you're going into the next year with your hands already tied behind your back, and it's like, why? Like why? I don't know if ownership is because they're so new to this that they don't realize just how bad things are, that they're afraid that if they cut bait, it's like admitting failure, and billionaires hate doing that. We got it wrong. And that's why a lot of times you see guys that should not be in positions held on to for so long. And it's not just the NBA, just look across sports.
No, they need to realize and know, though, that what will happen is your fan base
you might galvanize them.
Start coming back around because he's the villain.
Yeah. Oh, God, yes.
He is the villain. And everything that's being framed right now is that they trusted the basketball guy to make the basketball decisions. And a fan base can be rationalized with to the point of saying, hey, this ownership's not going to meddle in what's going on the basketball side. And they trusted the guy who was already there when they got there. In that, like, they'll probably point the finger right at Mark Cuban, who hired Nico Harrison, and say, look, that wasn't an us problem. That was a him problem. And
there's a way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to get all of them back, and you won't until you win. And that's what Nico Harrison is saying in that clip is that, well, things just didn't go all right. Well, part of McMahon's big piece of his article is that the reason why there might be so many injuries is because they took a very well-respected league-wide medical staff, dismantled it, and then brought in two guys who absolutely hate each other, and one of them is not even qualified to train NBA players, and he is your head strength and conditioning coach who does not have the qualifications outlined by the NBA, and the NBA is like, yeah, he has the college one, and we said you can work this year with it, but he's not even NBA certified to be their strength coach. Him and the new team doctor performance doctor hate each other, have yelled at each other, have rushed guys back from injuries, and maybe the reason why guys are getting re-injured so often this season.
And on top of that, that previous training staff was very tight with Luka and was very tight with Dirk Nowitzki.
And all of their players.
Yes. Very well respected.
Yeah. So much so that the day that his contract expired with the Mavericks, the Knicks hired him and one other person.
We didn't even mention when he was fired. He was away from the team tending to his ill mother who was in the path of passing away.
Yep, she was on her deathbed, and they were all coming back from Dirk Nowitzki's Hall of Fame induction, which Dirk invited the performance doctor to
because he was such a good friend.
And then when they were on their way back from that, Nico Harrison said, "Hey, need to meet with you." He's like, "Yeah, I'm not in Dallas. I'm in Ohio." Sends him a Zoom link, what I'm assuming is a Zoom link. Cans him via Zoom.
While he's at his mom's deathbed.
Yikes. So things have not been going well. And it didn't go any better today.
I mean, the quotes that are coming out of this are just, they're heinous.
I didn't know how much you meant to the fans. Kind of like one of the descriptions of your job.
If it's not the most important thing, it's top 3.
Having a pulse of your team in the fan base, yeah, it is. You know, the fans' love affair with the players should not determine what you do with your moves.
But there's a sliding scale.
But knowing the importance of Luka Doncic probably does.
Imagine trading Damian Lillard year 6.
Yeah, that would not have gone well. No.
4 pennies on the dollar.
Like the year after Dame breaks the Oklahoma City Thunder, which, by the way, this iteration of the Oklahoma City Thunder may have been built by the Damian Lillard. Because that's when Paul George was like, I can't do this
Imagine
anymore.
trading Damian Lillard after that for Blake Griffin.
Yeah, the very next year. Yeah, that wouldn't have been good. Except for put that on steroids because Luka backpacked a team to the NBA Finals.
Just unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable
Yeah,
stuff.
it's really bad. It's really bad.